Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to go over mechanized infantry and how it relates to you in Hell Let Loose. We're going to do this by breaking down what mechanized infantry is, where it came from, and then how it is relevant to your gameplay. This idea was submitted by Tazaiki. I'll throw his name in the description or up in the video for you guys to see. He's the community member who suggested this video. If you guys have ideas, chuck them down in the comments and I will try and get to them as quickly as possible because I love interacting with you guys. Other than that, I stream on Twitch Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8:30 Central unless I'm out of town on that Saturday, and I will make sure that is noted on my Twitch channel. And let's go ahead and get into the history portion of this. If you're not interested in the history portion, I will have a timestamp in the video and in the description for you to skip to the relevant gameplay aspects of this. Now, for the history. What is a mechanized division? A mechanized division, or mechanized infantry squad in this case for the game, is a group of individuals, a group of soldiers that are using armored vehicles like half-tracks to move and maintain speed and then defend armor. However, we don't have half-tracks just yet. They will be coming, so this will be more relevant down the line, but the base core aspects of this can still be used to defend those oh so valuable armor assets. So, where did mechanized infantry come from? Well, a German strategist named Heinz Guderian developed this mentality during the early parts of World War II. He recognized that tanks without infantry support would not survive very long, and they needed infantry to secure and scout for those tanks, secure areas, stop other infantry from sneaking up and using anti-tank weapons on their tanks. This is something that the Germans recognized very early, and the Americans took quite a long time to actually put into effective practice. By the time most people see it in late World War II, the Americans had already tried and failed a couple of times. So the American theory of infantry operations within armored divisions was actually formed from the reports from Poland and France and the German Blitzkrieg. So essentially the Americans took what the Germans were doing and tried to adopt it. So in 1941, during their summer and fall maneuvers, they did some practicing, they did some training, and realized there was a clear need to increase the ratio of infantrymen to tanks when they started training with their anti-tank guns and realizing how easy it was to take their own tanks out. And they also needed to design a vehicle that infantry could move at the same speed as the attacking tanks, hence the half-track. This is where this kind of came in for the Americans. The Germans at this point had already developed it. So, however, for the Germans, as early as 1934, Adolf Hitler recognized the utility of large armor formations and the use of mechanized infantry or infantry to support these large armored divisions. In 1942, all mechanized motor infantry units for the Germans were renamed to Panzer Grenadiers, something you guys have probably heard of but didn't quite know where this came from. So the Panzer Grenadier units, and for the Germans at least, came around in 1942. What vehicles were used? Well, in case of the Germans, they used the SD KFZ 251, which is also known as the Hanomag, and they also used the SD KFZ 250, which was a shorter, more compact version that the SS would use from time to time for various different reasons. The Americans used the M2 and M3. The M2 was mostly a scout vehicle, but they mainly used the M3, and they would share it with the Russians and stuff like that, or the Soviet Union. Now, let's get into the actual uses for Hell Let Loose in the game, because we're not moving across vast distances. We're only moving within a map space. So how does this relate to us? Well, if you coordinate your squad and kind of stick with a tank, you can use basically cover and concealment to guard that tank. So as infantry comes up to attack the tank, you're picking them off. As soon as the tank realizes, hey, I'm taking fire, you can scout it out. Your primary goal isn't to lay waste to the enemy in terms of attacking objectives, it's to guard that tank. And I have found that when commanders designate a squad to armor protection, that armor survives significantly longer and is actually more effective. So some basic techniques you can use is, as infantry, is use the tank as cover. That tank is heavy, hard cover for you. Use it. If the tank is progressing forward and you're crossing an open field, line up behind it so that way you guys don't get shot. I don't see a lot of people doing this, but the tanks are amazing cover for moving forward. Smoke and use the tank as cover. You will survive significantly longer. Number 2, scout for the tank. So the infantry needs to advance forward and scout around hedgerows and buildings for other tanks and anti-tank infantry. If the tank is consistently pushing forward and you're behind it, and especially in urban environments, that tank is going to roll around a corner and get blown to smithereens. It is your job as an armor squad or an armor protection squad to scout for that tank. Next, and this is for the squad leaders primarily, call targets for the tank. Those binoculars are a weapon in themselves. If you are guarding a tank and sitting kind of further back in the line, you're not maybe directly on the front line, or even if you are on the front line, call targets. Say, azimuth 320, infantry 100 meters forward, I will mark it, and that tank will be able to fire into that infantry or building, 2-story building, left window, enemy machine gunner, put HE rounds in that building. That tank may not be seeing it because of their limited field of view, especially if they don't have a commander. So having infantry on the ground to call shots for that tank is extremely effective. This is where combined arms warfare comes into play. This is where that heavy teamwork that we want to see in Hell Let Loose comes into play, and that a lot of people buy this game for. Next, repair the tank. I have seen so many tanks screaming over the mic for somebody to repair them, and 3 or 4 engineers run by, don't care. Engineers realize that you get points for repairing tanks. You get points for throwing down repair stations and rearm stations. So use those to your advantage. Squad leaders, have your engineers, especially if you are set to an armor protection squad, to repair that tank as soon as it goes down. Bringing a tank from the back of the field all the way up takes time, and it is extremely annoying. And your team is less effective when you do that. So make sure to repair those tanks as soon as they get hit. Next, help destroy other tanks. So this one's pretty interesting. You're guarding the tank, right? Isn't it supposed to destroy the tanks? Well, yes, and kind of yes again. But if you've got an AT guy in your squad, if your Sherman, say a Sherman, right? 75 mil gun Sherman is shooting a Panther or a Tiger head on, flank it and hit it in the side. Not only will you kill that vehicle faster, that tank faster, but you're going to scare the crap out of it, and it's going to start moving around, swinging its turret. You're going to throw its aim off and probably keep your tank alive. You combine that with having your engineer then repair your tank and calling shots for the tank itself as an infantry squad leader. You now have an effective unit that is way more effective than them, especially if they're just rolling 1 man or 2 man in a tank and just rolling up and attacking people. So these are some general pointers that can help you as an infantry squad member guard tanks. Now, once half tracks come into play, and they should be coming in over the next few months, a neat tactic we probably will be able to use is to shoot out of the half track. So roll up with the tank, use your half track as armor, and just fire out of it. It is something the Germans used consistently during World War II. They would just fire out of their half tracks as they were rolling down with the tanks, blowing everything to smithereens. This is something that I can't wait to see in the game, and I'm really hoping we will see. Other than that, this has just been a quick how to be a mechanized unit or how to guard armor. I'm hoping it was comprehensive. If you guys have more ideas or feedback you want, throw it in the comments. It really helps me out. I stream on Twitch again Wednesdays and Saturdays. If you guys want to come by, hang out, watch the game, talk about the game, maybe even jump in the Discord and play with us, that'd be great. The links will be in the description below. Other than that, I'll see you guys around, and I can't wait for the next video.